Okay, the time is now 1 o'clock. I'll call our meeting to order. We'll start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item on the agenda today is employee recognition. Is there any way that I could have?
We can split them up. You want Rob and I to do them? Rosemary Brown, 23 years.
Thank you, Rosemary.
You.
Carly Hendry, 23 years. Heather Reed, 22 years. Debbie Beers, 30 years.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you.
It's been an honor and a privilege working for the county. Oh, we're happy that you're here.
Lisa Rossiter, 37 years.
Thank you.
Denise Spencer, 25 years. Janelle Schmidt, 23 years. Linda Jones, 32 years. And Tony Helfrich, 27 years.
It's always amazing when we do these just to see the tenure, the long periods of time that people stay with Whitley County. We're grateful. We really appreciate the service that you've given. Next item on the agenda is our county attorney, Matt Shipman.
Good afternoon. I've kind of the restated ordinance numbers, I think maybe make sense for me to discuss and explain as really kind of my report. You will see there's a little note in your packet, but in essence, what happened is as we started doing resolutions and ordinances this year, the numbering just got a little bit off. And so the 2023-01 salary ordinance is correct. But the rezoning 2023-02 was actually adopted as 01, and it should be 02. And the 2023-03 was actually adopted as 02 and should be 03 because the salary ordinance is 01. And so I think just for purposes of clarification, it didn't change anything related to the ordinances. Tiffany and I talked about it and it made sense, I think, really just to bring it up in a public meeting. And then also maybe if somebody would just make a motion to amend ordinance 2023-01, the rezoning to 2023-02, and a motion, and we can do this all in one motion, and I'm kind of making a motion for you. And then 2023-03 or 02, which was the right-of-way permits, just make a motion to amend that to 03. And then I think we just, for clarification. Didn't change anything. It's just a numbering thing. Because the resolution or the ordinance for the salary was, put its resolution in for. So. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to update the ordinances to reflect the correct numbers.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand.
The only other items that we'll have to talk about are at the end. We talk about jails.
Okay, so next up on the agenda then is I have Jason Spencer and Janelle Schmidt.
Welcome.
Two chairs.
Excellent.
Before we start.
Let's start with the legal deputy payment.
You guys have any questions on what I sent out? First of all, I'm not going to bore you with it. It's a recommendation of State Board of Accounts and the file legal advice. I don't know if Tiffany got it. I mean, she reviewed it for me real quick, but I don't know if she had any questions as well either. But in this follow protocol, it has to be done, which probably hasn't been done correctly over years, and it's not our fault. It sounds like it was a statewide thing with previous attorney. So that's how that came about. And it's a one time, she said as long as it's covered in the public meeting, it's recorded and documented, that's what she.
So I know that I've seen it, but it's not printed in our packet. Right? Or is it?
I don't think it is.
I don't believe it's printed in our packet, so we don't have that in front of us.
It was an email that was forwarded on from Jason about just needing the commissioners to allow him to pay for his legal deputy out of his cemetery fund.
Yeah, I'm on council. So, but yeah, I guess to keep you informed on what it is. It's gotta be approved by council one time in the public meeting.
Is there any action you need from us?
No, just so you guys are kept in the number of council. There's no surprises or anything else of why I'm asking for it. So you guys are. And I've received one, I think Joan asked me one question about it. Was it was all I've got from the council. So we took care of that last week. Just a question. So other than that, anything from you guys on that part?
Easy.
That was.
If you recall during the study, the phone system part that you had question on.
Yep.
So the clarification was given to you. I know that. This is what we're here today to go ahead and proceed with that motion. So I'll let you, I'll take over from there.
I received a quote early 2020 before COVID shut the world down. And it just kind of got pushed back and pushed back. So I got another quote. The one that you have in front of you is good for 90 days. This is the hardware piece of our phone. So our phone is a computer. Computers have a end of life period and we're getting close. And this is to update the computer and the components for that. It can be moved to the new jail. And if we don't upgrade it, then they're going to tack on more money onto our maintenance contract, which
That's an additional 3, and I think what they're looking at is stuff breaking down the
Yeah.
recurring costs
Right.
for the contract.
Right,
So
Yeah.
sure.
she did get that adjusted earlier this month, so we are still at the low rate. So, and this is all paid for out of that funding.
So I just need some approval to get that going. There's an 8-week lead time, so once it's ordered, it'll be 8 weeks before it comes in and they. switch everything out.
We just have to have it ordered in the 90 days.
Mhm. Yes.
We're halfway through now.
Yeah.
So
I think I had to do that first of the year, because the questions that were raised up.
Do you have another question?
I don't.
This is for our 4 positions.
Funds are coming from
911.
911.
Yes. No county.
I don't have any issue with it.
I don't either.
Want to make that in form of a motion?
I move to allow Janelle to move forward with the items as laid out in the quote.
Second.
You have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Vote, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Passes unanimously.
My contract resolution, I know we spoke, but I think you guys are all good for it. I know it wasn't on there, but I think I probably miscommunicated or with
I think
Tiffany,
it's
making sure it's on there.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, so I think one of you
They've
have to
already
sign it,
signed
then the rest of them, so, yeah, we're okay with theirs.
Is that the contract we've already signed?
Yes.
Commissioners have already
I don't know if
signed.
I signed it and I gave it over to Mr. Shipman, so I don't know where it went from there, if it got to you guys now.
We're just
They're already
waiting on
done.
council.
You email?
The one I signed, oh, I gave Tiffany, so.
Yeah, I've got it. We're just waiting on council signature.
Okay,
You guys are good.
sorry, I didn't send, you sent it to me, I sent it to you.
It was possibly said.
No, I think she's as the original in hand.
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect.
anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank
you.
Okay, next up, Katie Fry.
Good morning.
Or afternoon, I guess. however you
Yeah.
mix that up. So I have before you today, that's on the agenda, a proposed unofficial detour from NDOT. They're going to be doing a small structure replacement on State Road 105. So they're going to be doing an official detour from 114 to 5, but they do request that we give them an unofficial detour route, so that way they can document it if there's any kind of damages to the road from that detour, that they will then make us eligible rather for reimbursements or for them to do repairs. So I do have, Tiffany, did you have an original for that, or do you want the one that I have? But anyway, that is just a actual formal proposal here from, I believe Todd Johnson is the district deputy commissioner on here, that sent the letter for the request to be considered in grant.
I have no questions or issues, so I would make a motion that we approve the route from NDOT.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Anything further? And now I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
And then the last thing I just wanted to give a brief update on is Tuesday, January 31st, we were given an informal announcement that the notice of funding opportunity for Safe Streets for All that we had submitted with the state for has been selected for award. So that puts us in selection for $60,000 in federal funding towards the Safe Streets for All. The formal announcement did come out on February 1st, so I do have that. It's online. But we're waiting for further instruction. But again, the Safe Streets for All is just, we're working with supporting agencies. We're working with stakeholders that are both private and public, that's what this funding is going to go towards, developing a comprehensive safety plan that looks at roadway safety and what we can do to improve it for all road users, and then allow us to reduce injuries and eliminate road-related fatalities. So that will kind of be up and coming. We're waiting for further instructions from the federal highway, and we'll keep those for there.
All right, thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Next up, we'll go to Nathan Bilger.
Good afternoon. I have on the agenda a plat, and I believe you still have a continued rezoning from last time. Which would you like to take first?
Start with the plat.
So this plat is a minor plat of 2 lots located down on State Road 9, just actually is adjacent to the river. The Plan Commission approved this at their December meeting. Basically makes 2 buildable lots out of the property. Any questions?
I have no questions.
I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand.
I think I forgot to say the name. It's Eel Creek is the name of the subdivision. And the rezoning for Rail City, the petitioner is here if you have any questions for him or if you have questions for me. I'm open and I'm sure he'd be willing to answer questions as well.
I have no questions.
So with the request for rezoning, how would we like to move forward?
Seeing as our plan commission was in 100% agreement in their recommendation, I would be in support of their finding as they're a diverse group of individuals. So when they agree, I think it's says a lot. And I think that there are possibilities within the exemptions that, special exceptions that the vast majority of what the applicant would like to do is still possible without taking the drastic step of rezoning it out of ag.
And I would also agree. I've heard from many individuals since last week and until today that they do not wish to see it rezoned, people who live right around there. And also, as I said before, I'm not in favor of spot zoning. And again, just to piggyback off of what you said, it's very telling when the entire plan commission is in agreement that it should not be rezoned.
So I have a motion.
Move to uphold the findings of the plan commission. And
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. We would hope that the petitioner would file for a special exception.
We will work with him on doing so. Thanks.
Thank you, Nathan.
The next item on the agenda is Brad Allen.
Afternoon. So, what I have sent for you is this flow chart, and so a little while back, we had some issues where highway department projects and drainage department projects kind of ran into each other, and there was some issues that came out of that. So the highway director and I felt it was appropriate to kind of come up with a process for what happens when we run into each other's assets on our projects. And so this basically lays that out. As you can see, there's 3 different types of projects that move from top to bottom: a drain project, a highway project, and then a non-county project, outside project. And this is really meant to be just kind of something to work through, so we have an idea of an agreed process to go upon between us. There are a couple points that I'd like to draw attention to. Drain projects, when they encounter a highway, have to file for a right-of-way use permit, like one that was just passed recently in the new ordinance. However, we're waived from any fees, and as part of the ordinance, we're waived commissioner approval for open cuts. And then similarly, when a drain project encounters, or sorry, a highway project encounters a drain, they inform the drainage department, mostly Max, and then we inform the drainage board, but no board approval is required and no fees. Just thought we'd let you 3 review it and process.
This is good stuff.
I think it looks great. I'm kind of surprised that we didn't have one in place before to remove any gray area or questions for direction.
Thanks for your time on that.
Do we need to approve this?
I don't think so.
No, we did the ordinance, so this is just laying it out for us. Thank you, Brad.
Scott Wagner, Health Department.
As discussed previously, in January, came back from the health board that met in January with 5 names for you to review with the empty spot on the health board. So I emailed all of you, should gotten the 5 names, they are all RN, so that was all same kind of work. So just can you see what you're trying to do?
They were all very good recommendations. They all had great skills and experience.
Very impressive resumes.
I would agree. I would make a motion that we approve Carrie Crawford for the health board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your hand.
Thank you. And the second thing is, we had spoke last year about possible location at the new jail doing it for a full bar to store equipment and have the border office there. Thought on that, or should that forward, or just don't have information yet?
I'm not really sure, Scott. I think maybe it's a little too soon.
Didn't we say, give you permission to explore the cost on that?
No. because
No.
I need a location on the property, so I can get contract out with the company, like fill up land and what the site would cost. This is from the new driveway, things like that. I would need to know specifically where you want to put that after in the future. Building.
Sure.
I think that was the big issue. You don't know for sure what.
Yeah. I don't think we're prepared yet to make a decision on that.
I know that you definitely need it, and I know the coroner needs his own space. But I think I'm in agreement with Commissioner Banks that a little bit later.
The only last thing is just for information, Matt and I have been working on the idea when we start sewer projects this fall, when they start being installed. What about homes in between projects? Sewer line is running and all that. Under state law and current health department ordinance, we're not supposed to connect with that. The issue that Matt and I came up with was we just may not just apply just to new sewer projects. If we may now have to contact anybody with a sewer line from their home. And they may have to connect because now that our covenant is countywide and not just specific territories, that will be an issue. So about a number of about 200 to 250 people. So that's not something we need to refine and then talk about at some point in the future whether we want to require that or not. That's something.
The other whole side of it too, and this is one of the things Scott and I talked about, is that we don't have a sewer system, right? Countywide, and the countywide sewer district is really building it and then turning it over to treatment providers. And so the treatment providers themselves would have to agree to do it. And so, I think my thoughts at this point is it's a conversation that it's important that we have, but that we really need to dig deep into it. And, that whether that means my initial thought would be maybe potentially don't allow new construction without connections, but whether or not we go for, there's a lot of people along, lines in Tri Lakes, for example, that economics did not make sense for Tri-Lakes to do that, but people have voluntarily chosen to connect because either their sewer system was aging out or because they just didn't want to have to worry about septic system. And so, but Tri-Lakes has never mandated those connections, and I'm not sure, I'm sure they would take the customers, but even though they have the ability to do so, and so it's a detailed conversation, and I think it's important to have it, but I'm not sure what the answer is at this point. And frankly, at some point, it's going to come down to some direction from you guys to Scott as to what you want him to do. The law says that you shall, you can apply for exemptions and all these things, but we can't make Aqua Indiana do it. So how enforceable is that? And I don't know if Aqua would or would not. So it's just, there's a lot of moving parts, and I think it makes sense probably maybe to a commissioner or two and Scott and I sit down and kind of talk through it all and come up with a game plan. He's asking me for direction, and honestly, the direction frankly needs to come first and foremost from you guys once we figure out whether the treatment providers will do it.
Is it Aqua?
Well, it'd be Blue Lake. I mean, you got Blue Lake, you got municipality in some instances.
Okay,
mean,
like,
Sewer line that runs that.
Sure.
The implications are broad, and a policy is to, the countywide sewer district being a countywide sewer district didn't trigger anything. So don't feel like by making it countywide, that's what started it. These problems have been there since the beginning. And they're not problems, they're just, the economics don't make sense for sewer districts to spot net. It's expensive and there's no cost of scale. And so they don't, they just build sewer mains from one big area of homes to another. And so as a result, I think it's been voluntary and it hasn't been mandatory. And
I just felt like, maybe people unfair if we just said, okay, your home's here from 400 to 500 east on State Road 14, you have to connect, but all these other homes in the county exist that aren't being returned.
it's just coming up with, so it's not arbitrary.
You can move that.
Sure.
Giving us a lot to think about.
Okay, thank you. Nothing else.
No, okay. Thank you, Scott.
The next item on the agenda is the comprehensive financial plan scope of work agreement with Baker Tilly.
I think
We
that's
have a-
the thing from in talks with bonding and everything for the jail.
Mhm.
It was brought up that commissioners and council like to move forward with keeping that up to date. And this was just presented by Baker Tilly, so they just need that
Right.
voted on and signed off if you choose to move forward.
When we had Baker Tilly do a 5-year comprehensive financial plan for the county. When we did that, it had been so long since it was done that it took a lot of resources for Baker Tilly to do that. It ended up costing us a lot more than it would have if we would have just maintained it. If we would have just had them continually build on that and maintain the financial plan. So the thought is that we would go ahead and contract with them to continue to do that.
I think it's a really good idea. I was in favor of it for the original one. I think as elected officials, we need to know exactly where the county sits financially, and that report was very eye-opening, I think, for many of us and council. So I'm definitely in favor of it.
I agree.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Move to approve the agreement between the county and Baker Tilly.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Is this just require one?
Just one signature.
Next item on the agenda is a CUMCAP development rate discussion. Be sure email, print it off in our agenda or in our packet. Yeah. Do we have that in here? So are you leading this discussion?
I can if you'd like. This is something that was brought up during budget last year between commissioners and council. From Baker Tilly letting us know that we are not utilizing our Q cap to the fullest that we could, that could allow to bring more funds in for the county. I know it was discussion between council very heavily, but it's actually a commissioner decision if you choose to move forward with changing that rate. And Baker Tilly just wanting to let us know that now's the time to start that process because it has to be done by, I believe it's May 31st. So I was just putting on there to see thoughts. I remember when this came up with Baker Tilly when we did our financial 5-year plan. I understand the reasoning behind it, but I would like to table it to give it some more thought. I'm not prepared to make a decision today. So I will make a motion to table it.
Second.
Motion and a second to table. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Does this have our current rate, or did you mention
Yeah,
what
it's
the
in the
current?
emails, I do believe. It's on the second page.
It's currently 0.015 and the maximum allowed is 0.033. That's more than double, isn't it?
Mhm.
Know that we've tabled, but I'll catch up with you offline, but I'm just curious, like, we wouldn't have to go all the way.
No, they're just saying if you go up to that.
Yeah, okay.
Mhm. It's the highest
All
you
right.
can.
Yep.
Just in thinking about that too, and looking at this timeline, there are a lot of steps that all need to be completed by May 31st. So including a 30-day remonstrance period, 2 7-day notices, a meeting. So this is just for informational purposes. If it is something that you guys want to really think about, probably next meeting and at the latest first meeting in March, we probably need to get started on it. There's a lot of stuff to get done, to have it done by May 31st. Even though there's a May 31st deadline, I just wanted you to know that there's probably
Sure.
stuff that has to be done by then.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is facilities requests. I have a request from Chad Whetstone from the Old Settlers Association. This is for the courthouse lawn on June 19 to June 25th. This is a standard request that we get annually for Old Settlers Days.
Is that an updated one from the last one? They wanted to put something else on the courthouse lawn.
So that was the hot air balloons that you're
Sure.
referring to.
Yeah.
And we've instructed them that if they were going to do that, they need to do their own.
Okay.
The people who have the balloons would need to
Okay.
do their own facility requests. It's a separate one. So this one does not include balloons if you want to.
I have no issues with this one right here.
So I would entertain a motion to approve.
I will make a motion to approve the request as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
And just an FYI, it says George's name on here, just whoever updates these.
So this one is from Whitley County CA scan. Am I reading that right? For the gazebo for Child Abuse Month on April 3rd from 12 to 1. Did I read that right?
I have no issues with this.
Nor do I.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Is this, Cammy, is this one from David Baker? Is that the balloon?
Okay, I know that we've discussed this at multiple meetings over the last probably few months. And my concern was if it was going to tear up the courthouse lawn at all. Did we get any clarification on that? Because I just don't want to.
The reason that we had them do their own facilities request form was because then they're liable, completely liable for any damage that would occur, but we're assured from them that there wouldn't be. For whatever that's worth. I mean, anybody can assure us that there won't be, like the previous two could assure us that there won't be, but there's always a risk. I feel comfortable with this one in that we had them separate it from the Old Settlers Days request, and that puts the liability on them rather than Old Settlers Association.
I think my only concern was, this is something new that Old Settlers has never had before. Obviously, as commissioners, one of our duties is to maintain the integrity of all the buildings and the property. So that's my big concern. I guess I don't have any real issues other than if they do cause any damage this year, I definitely wouldn't want them to have this any other year, would be my only input, so.
Yeah, and I had a conversation with them, and I know that Kim Wheeler has had multiple conversations with them. No one will be riding in the balloon. It's just a blow. So they'll light up whatever they do in a hot air balloon. They light them up and they let them glow for a little while, and then they bring it back down. Like, they don't actually leave the ground. So they just set them up and then let the hot air balloon glow. A little different, but I'll let you look at that.
Commissioner Sherman, do you have any thoughts?
No, I think it looks fine.
So would you like to make a motion to approve? or-
Yes, so moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Next item is resolution approving final forms of assignment, interlocal, and escrow agreement I believe this has something to do with redevelopment commission, right, Matt?
Yeah, it does. Tiffany has one to sign. So as part of the jail project, one of the ways in which we're paying for that is with TIF funds. TIF funds can be used for public safety related items. To basically allow that to happen, we need to enter into an interlocal agreement with redevelopment that says commissioners, as part of this, are going to use the funds, which they've now kind of through the process of figuring out how exactly to allocate public safety part of it, not the jail, public safety one. And so we need to do a resolution authorizing that assignment, the agreement, and then the escrow of those funds. And that's the first one. There's 2 weeks. Redevelopment Commission met this morning and did approve all of these documents. And so that would be basically
For redevelopment, what it was? or-
no, do you have the actual resolution for the Board of Commissioners?
Is that the one that- I have the interlocal.
So those are all those documents that they signed this morning are basically being authorized by that resolution.
Okay.
But I don't know what number it is.
That would be resolution 2023-03.
I don't know if you guys have questions about that specifically, but that's the first resolution.
I don't have any questions about it at all.
I don't either.
Obviously, we don't talk about stuff here, so it's not like that. But then we're getting close to closing, all the financial pieces need to be properly documented, which is what this is, so that we're dotting our i's and crossing our t's.
So does it make sense for us to approve the resolution and sign later? I mean, it looks like a lot of
Yeah, so
signing.
exactly, I think procedurally, the resolution is what says you guys can sign it. We'll just after the meeting, I'll get you all together and we'll sign that. But the resolution 02 or 03 can be approved. I'm not sure which one it was. Then we'll actually physically put pen to paper.
Sure.
So I got a lot of documents to keep track of.
Okay, commissioners?
Sounds good.
I'd entertain a motion to approve resolution number 2023-03.
I move to approve resolution 2023-03.
Second.
Motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
And then the second resolution is part of the way that the financing is working. Currently, the county itself bought the property several years ago. We are, as part of the bond financing lease back, we are basically deeding the property to the building corporation. It's the same exact mechanism we used when we built the county government building. Then basically the county leases it back from the building corporation, and then at the conclusion of those lease payments, the corporation deeds it back to the county. It's just a financing vehicle that we ultimately ended up using. So the second resolution really is just authorizing the deed transferring it from the county to the building corporation. And that would be 2023-04. Yep, got it.
So that one is 2023-04.
And that's just authorizing the commissioners to sign the deed transferring it.
I have no issues with that. I would make a motion to approve resolution 2023-04.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
But they would just need to
Next item on the agenda is payroll and accounts payable claims approval.
Had the opportunity to go up and spend some time, and as a new commissioner, it's a little bit overwhelming, so Commissioner Basinger was good enough to kind of get me started, and then I'd like to recognize Deputy Auditor Tamala Tencher has been extremely helpful, and in a spirit of working closely and more closely in the future with council, Councilman Chair Jim Algebright and I went through together. We spent some time Friday afternoon and then again this morning to finish it up. Everything looked fine. So there were no issues for both claims and payroll.
I'll make a motion approving payroll.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve payroll. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
Move to approve accounts payable
Second.
claims.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve accounts payable. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Next item on the agenda is the previous meeting minutes approval. Has everyone had a chance to review our meeting minutes?
I have no issues.
Move to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. I know it's not on the agenda, but I'd also like to ask that we select builder's risk insurance. We had quotes from Wygand. They went through their insurance and got quotes. We also got quotes through ours at Hill. Two of them are the same. One of them is different, but as you know, we already do a lot of business with travelers through Hill. And there is a quote here that's very reasonable. I know you guys have this already, but
I
I'll
did not
pass it
bring my
down.
copy out.
I'll pass it down.
I personally think a lot of travelers, if the county does a lot of business with them, they've really taken care of us in the past. And like you said, it's the local company. So I don't know if anyone else has any other opinions, but I would make a motion that we select travelers for our builder's risk insurance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. You want that? You can ignore my note on the bottom. Okay, is there anything that anybody would like to add to today's meeting? Anything from the audience? Matt, do you have anything additional? Tiffany? Commissioner Schumann,
Not at this time.
Commissioner Basinger.
Just so it's on record, I did get a couple of phone calls from two constituents upset about the location of where the new jail is going to be located. Up until this point, in the last 2 years, I've not heard from any constituents, but I did tell them that I would at least say this so it's on public record. And I don't know if they want to be identified, so I'm not going to say their names, but just so it's on public record that there are some upset constituents.
Okay. I have nothing to add, so I'll adjourn the meeting. Just for